Hey. All right, so let me do this real quick. If you're available, let me know. That's it. Let me greet everybody real quick. Avoiding Radugu Dog, Bolo with the name, Basislo, Bonja me, Kera when you wa. Niha, Sani Bonani, Jumbo Habarigani, Assalamu alaikum, and Shalom. Okay, let me get rid of this one. All right. Let's see. So I got one of the brothers in here. Hey, what's up, brother? What's up? What's
going on, Nabi?
All right. So let's give it a minute or two. Because I see some people coming in and going back out. There's a little lag with my internet real quick. All right.
That's cool.
And this is the new channel anyway, but this is going to be the one that's the least hindered, if you know what I mean.
The least what?
And that's hindered.
Hindered.
Hindered. All right. Meaning that now that it's up, now that it's...
You just kind of like broke out. Hello?
This one won't. So I'm gonna put it like that. This one will not be treated like the others.
Okay, yeah, but I just saw, I just heard that, and then I saw you kind of like your mouth moved, but I didn't hear the words. So you've been going in and out.
Oh yeah, that's a problem with the internet service here. I don't know why, because I showed a full signal.
Right.
So
when you say the least tendered, that means that the least like least scrutinized, you mean?
By the powers that... Hold on a second. All right, so the other ones kind of been blocked, right?
Okay.
But this one's freed up. This one is freed up. And so what I'm starting to notice is that even when I went and looked for my other channel to find this one, hold on a second. Let me do something real quick. Can you hear the music?
Yeah.
Is it loud?
You can turn down a tiny bit.
Right. And so
that's good.
Hold on, wait. Let's see what we got. Overlay. Loop 30. Okay. Now I can't find the music. So
I can hear it. It's cool.
I didn't want it to be distracting though. I found it. All right. Oh. So you can adjust the volume. I think the other issue is that also I usually start much later in the evening. Yeah. So this is the earliest I've ever started. But I see people starting to roll in quick. So that's good. What's up to whoever just rolled in? Can't see you real quick. So let me figure out how to
It
get.
says Mr. Pirate Brain.
Okay, I know who that is. There we go. Starting to trickle in now. Um, some of the brothers won't be here with us today. They're on their way to work. So let's see who trickles in on here. Let's see.
What's good, Mr. Pirate Brain?
All right, let's see. Man, and I think the thing is, it seems like people are having an and every time I use Google, I have
Can you use Firefox? It went in and out. Oh, I can't hear anything you're saying now. I can see you moving, but I can't hear anything. I can just hear the background music.
so Google seems to mess my computer up a lot.
You want to try Firefox?
Yeah, I'm going into Firefox right now. Right. And maybe with Firefox, it won't be that much of a problem. And if you could be here, you can see that my router is just maybe 10 feet away from me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know why it is that when I use Google's whatchamacallit.
I can hear you now.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Okay, now let's see this. All right, hold on, let's see. Okay, hold on. All right, let's see. So I can hear you now.
All right.
Can you see anybody else coming popping in?
I just see Mr. Pirate Brain. That's the only one I
Yeah,
see.
that's kind of odd.
But that's a comment. I don't see. I don't see. I just see the comment. I don't see the chat. I mean, I'm
Okay,
in
got you.
Streamyard. I'm not on YouTube. I'm in Streamyard. I can only see comments.
Okay, got you. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I don't. I've never seen I've never seen like the live YouTube chat before. When I've done StreamYard, I've only seen comments. I haven't seen the chat going on itself. I don't know if I would have had to open up another
Yeah. All right.
browser
So
to
I'm
see
gonna
it. You
try
know
to
what I
get
mean?
off of this real quick.
I think it's when we take turns talking, something happens. Like if I'm talking and you try to talk or whatever, I think it's like breaking it up, the transmission or something.
You're on StreamYard.
Yeah. I can hear you, but I don't see your mouth moving.
That's the problem. The problem is Chrome. Straight up.
Hmm.
Um. Very, very bad. Um. So people are probably trying to come in.
You want to do Firefox or what? Hmm? Or you just paused? You said some. You said like something, and then you went away. Do you think that the music takes away from the bandwidth? Damn, I can't see. I can't hear anything. I mean, I can't hear your voice.
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. It should turn off momentarily.
Hmm.
I really can't stand. This real- The other side. All right. Hold on.
Hmm.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
This is way. Um, that's the other problem. So let's see something real quick.
Are you in Firefox now?
Yeah, I'm in Firefox now.
That's a
This is
lot
way.
better.
This
There's
is
a
way
little bit of a delay, but it's better than what you had last time.
right.
Hmm.
Like I said, man, I can't stand Google. Google's Chrome is pathetic, especially when you're trying to do something. Um, so, so hey, Mr. Pirate Brain. Now, I know. So hopefully we can get them back. Um, I don't know how many popped in and popped back out, but hopefully we can get them back. The other thing is, let's see, man. That's why I hate dealing with. I'll count it as a lesson learned. Um,
Do you want me to do the live stream?
no, it's good now because I switched.
Oh, okay.
You see, it's much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see, it's way better, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why I wasn't thinking. And so, uh, and so, let me notify some of the brethren that I'm on now.
I like those pictures you got up.
All right. Let's see. Hold on for a second. Totally break away from Google stuff. So, what can you see in there?
What can I see right now?
Yeah, what can you see right now?
Just the picture of the one with the American flag behind it, and then on one side, and then a woman on the other side.
So you can't see who's in here then. Okay.
No, no, no.
Yeah, I wonder what it looked like on the other side.
It just
All
says
right.
I'm in the show. Everybody can see and hear me.
Okay, got you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of clear. So I'm gonna just get started real quick, and
Mm-hmm.
then hopefully people come in because I'm assuming you wanted it this early because you probably had some other engagements and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot about it. I had something going on at around 8 o'clock here.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
right. And I usually don't do talks too late. I mean, I'm like I got more of a early clock, you know what I mean, than
Right.
most people. You know what I'm saying? So um yeah, I know a lot of
And
dudes
then
like to get off at night, you know what I mean, but not me.
uh-huh. Yeah. Well, let me get this thing started now. So what's
Okay.
up to everybody in the thing, Majig? All right.
Mm.
And there's a name for thingamajig. All right. And one of the things that I wanted to do as we get things started is I want to present the brother. Hold on, let me do this. All right, there we go. I would like to present the brother. If you don't mind, I have it laid out in such a way, right? I have it laid out in such a way that real quick. And so this is the Nabi live here with Bobby Cenoura, and he wrote a book titled "The Male Angst," and you can find it on Amazon. And you'll see that quickly as we bring up some of the pages. You'll see the cost and everything, and it's on Amazon.com. All right, and so one of the things that I wanted to state is that men build things, women maintain the things that the men build. That's supposed to be the cycle. That isn't what we have in the so-called Black community right now. All right. And one of the things that's some things out, and
And now you went in and out a little bit again.
All right. So how do you say your last name?
Cenoura.
Okay, Cenoura. Is it Cenoura or Cenoura?
Cenoura, like carrot. You know, like carrot in Portuguese.
Oh, it's Portuguese. Okay. 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 Portuguese. Okay, we talking about stuff. So it's Cenoura.
Cenoura, okay.
Yeah. Okay. When you said Portuguese, I didn't.
Oh man, you just cut out again.
The way you break this down, if you could speak to this, I want to start with this 5 Black Americas here.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead, you got the floor.
Can I share something? Let me see if Let me see if I can share something. So we're not doing the dual we're not on like, you know, in camera like seeing each other. We just basically got the thing up, right?
Well, we got the thing up because I have the first picture up right now.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Just curious. Okay.
Because I have excerpts from your book.
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and and bring something up real quick. Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Control C, Control V. Okay, and then I'm gonna try to upload this and see if we can see it here. Share screen. Share screen.
Can you see what I have up right now?
Can you? Oh, I just put something up. Okay. Can you see? Can you see it?
Okay, hold on. Let me go back to my thing then.
I just posted something up for you. Like I think maybe you have to approve it or something. It's an article.
Okay, there it is.
Okay. So this So this article talks about the splintering of America's black population, and it's written by Eugene Robinson. It's called Disintegration and the Splintering of Black America. And it talks about I said in the book, like I heard before that there were about 5 Black Americas. But actually in this book, he says that he argues that America's African American population can now be divided into 4 distinct groups. The abandoned poor, which you might think of as, Pookies and Pukishas, immigrants and people of mixed race, and the mainstream middle class, and the small but powerful elite. Wait a minute, that sounds like, okay, so he's grouped them in. Okay, so he grouped the immigrants and people of mixed race into one category. Okay. So he said 4 distinct groups. 1, the abandoned poor. 2, immigrants and people of mixed race. 3, the mainstream middle class. And 4, the small but powerful elite. So when I said 5, I was probably thinking immigrants as 1 and mixed race people as 2, but he's categorized them in one category. And he describes how each group has a different Black experience, and they largely remain detached from the others. So that's the main point here, and I don't need to read the whole article. But if we look at it in terms of what your primary discussion is that when it comes to politics and policies, one of these groups has the most pull over how all the others are viewed. And I would say that would be what he's calling, and I think Eugene Robinson is calling this because he wants to be on the quote unquote right side of the conversation, if you will. The abandoned poor. I don't think they've been abandoned, but that's what he said. I think if anyone's been abandoned, it's these people who are poor and held prisoner in their neighborhood by people who would continue to wreak havoc on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So repeat that again. We missed some of that.
Okay. The groups that this man talks about, did you get all of the groups that he broke it down into?
Eugene Robinson, by the way.
Eugene Robinson, yes. That's the author of the book Disintegration. The issue is that while Black America has been divided into distinct groups, whether there's 4 or 5, that's semantics. The point is when it comes to policies and things of a political nature, these groups are used interchangeably. Not interchangeably. Like, for example, I would say the abandoned poor group is used when talking about policies. But when we want to flaunt, when the American public wants to flaunt Black excellence, they'll pick like either someone from the small but powerful elite or someone mixed race or a mainstream middle. Like the issue is that he says that the group's Black experiences are different and are detached from the others. And I'm sure that the political elites know this, but when it comes to policies, one policy is not a one size fits all, because all of these experiences are different depending on what kind of group you're in as a Black person in America. Hello. Hello.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I forgot to add. All right, go ahead.
Did you hear everything I said?
No, I missed the last minute of what you had to say. Now we got to Eugene Robinson and how he broke down his version of breaking things down. Okay.
Right.
And we got to the splintering of everything. Now,
right.
I missed what you said after that.
Okay, so the issue is that while Black people have a different Black experience in these different groups in Black America, the issue is that when it comes to political and social dialogues that one group is used more than another group, and one
Right.
group affects, and one group, and the policies that affect one group can affect that they use based on one group can have, if it affects one group in a good way, it can affect the other groups in a negative way. And
Right.
right, because they don't feel the same shocks economically and socially the same way. And so, and I believe, based on my personal experience, that the fear of the racial boogeyman is much greater than the prospect uh, of um, of being able to improve one's situation. So rather than one of these groups speaking out against the other group, they'll just shut up and, okay, well, go ahead, and we're all black. So because of that, they will allow certain things to go unchecked.
Exactly. That's been my main gripe with us as a people, that we used to hold, especially men, we used to hold men accountable. Our Achilles heel used to be that we would hold men accountable, but not hold the women accountable so much, especially in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when this queen motherhood, this, that, and the other start popping up. And only until now, when social media has shown us um, what things really look like from not holding them.
I just lost you after you said social media.
So we're we were until social media exposed the women. Some of us started to hold them accountable, but then again, for the most part, no one is holding hardly anyone accountable, because the people that's trying to hold people accountable are being shouted down by the people who want to live in the comfort that the black people they like can do no wrong, and we shouldn't call it where anything is up.
Yeah, Mr. Pirate Brain has a point too. I think that the people, I think it's more of a fear than anything else. It's a fear of
Agreed.
violence
Um,
and a fear of poverty. In other words, if I say something, right, what's going to happen to my money, or what's going to happen to my health? I think those are the two main things that we're working on. So they like deep in our heart, we know what's up. Everybody knows what's up.
kind of
It's just,
agree.
I
I
kind of I didn't hear you. I hear you said you kind of agree, and then it went out.
I would kind of agree, but I would kind of agree, but I have the separation here. When
I lost you after you said we have the separation here.
it's like when black women say they
It went out. And obviously, black women say. I heard you say it's like when black women say, and then you went out.
yeah, I know. When black women say we want the men with money, we want the top 20%. And the dudes at that they would that other women would consider the top tier dudes is not the same dudes that the black women say are the top tier dudes. They say they want what other women want, but when you look at who they have their babies by, they have their babies by the dudes coming out of prison.
Nabi, I heard you say the other babies by the dudes coming out of prison, and then that's it. Then after
when they
that, and then
say when they say they're about resources, it
mhm.
doesn't match up. And so I don't think the fear is money more so than image.
Well, I meant when I said when I meant about the fear of the image, it's the people calling the fear of money or fear of physical violence. It's the people that want to call out the other
Right.
not the people that are benefiting from this instant from what's happening. Um, and
Uh,
then to your point about the like how if anyone has seen my book dating up the hypergamy factor, it talks about the two ways is protection and provision, right? Those are the two things. Now I talked about in my other book, which is that's the dating economics book. It's kind of like a Bible towards dating economics, and what I address in there is that before, when like humans didn't live that long, like based on biological history. Like, I mean, if we look at the history of humans when they lived on the savannas and stuff, when they were hunter gatherers, they really didn't live that long. They didn't live past 20 years old most of the time. Usually in those times when we live with nature, protection and provision was by the same group of people. It wasn't broken apart. Once we had once we started doing farming and big industry, we started having specialization. Now one person would bake bread and another person would uh, d- uh, uh, be a fisherman. Someone else would be a tailor. Someone else would be a tanner of hides. Hence the last names: Baker, Taylor, Tanner, Hunter. All those last names are occupations. So people started becoming specialized. And when we became specialized and we started to trade, there was a we also let the government, we also formed governments, and we let the government have the monopoly over the use of violence. That broke apart the the whole protector role, as far as having the right to use deadly lethal force to protect yourself and your family without the government's consent. So now
uh,
you don't. So now you have a break. So now you. So, and I just want to say, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but to get to your point about who they're having babies by, two things are going to turn them on. Is going to be a protector and a provider. Now in the black community, because those men are usually the strong ones, are the ones that are looked at as rougher. They're more likely to survive in a situation in their community. Therefore, they are the de facto alphas in that community.
and so this is the disagreement that I have with that, right? Um, well, on 2 points, and let's see what you think about this. On the first point, when we talk about the society that you're saying, that's the European thing of the society, because when we look back at the with the exception of war taking people out, right? But when we look back in the continental African side of society, they live much longer, way much longer than the European society that developed the guilds that you're talking about. And so I agree with that on the European society. But when we look at the African society and the America society, some things I learned in Brazil, they outlived. And let's say also when we look at the Asian society, the Oriental society, everybody outlived the Europeans, and I think hygiene also had a lot to do with it. But when we talk about the guilds, all right, so that was a European, mainly a European development. Now, when we get to the women, the reason why I said that, because as I was looking down, right, I don't think that they consider those men the alpha. I think they consider men like you the alpha. But here's the problem with the alpha. Can you control them? No, they can control them men. They come home from prison. These are and not only speaking with, but saying it and asking the question. The dude just got out of jail, and why? It isn't that they're the alpha, and even when they know a dude can whoop the guy that they choose, what they also know is that dude need their address, need a place to stay. They are it's like the proverbial in the garden thing. They can rule over them by saying, I'll kick you out. I'll call 50, right? 911 is big. 911 is big. And so I think when we thought, like, we in our minds, we were thinking like, oh, those are the roughest, loudest dudes and stuff like that. But in our minds, so we could see the logic in that because they go do push-ups in jail. But then when I would get into these discussions with the women, when I start looking at the things, and when we start looking at the use of 911, and then when we start looking at what they would call dudes that they couldn't control, the dudes that had their own place, the dudes that had money and stuff like that. Two things came about, and I think even Kevin Samuels discovered this early, but it's something that I said way back, that one of the things they like somebody that has that can make them look good in front of their friends. If thug life and stuff is being promoted in the industry, right? And blinging. This is why a lot of dudes, even though they mess up their teeth, will go out and get grills. Because the female like them. The females like them because it's somebody they could parade around because he looked just like that rapper on TV. All right. And so it's the image thing. But I think we're not giving women credit for their type of thinking. They're thinking, I know at the drop of a hat, I could control this dude. I can put him in jail. I can call 911. Where he going to go?
So Nabi. So I wanna can I get in there a little bit? Because there were a couple things I wanted to touch on. The thing about while I'm not well versed in ancient African history, and as far back as I know, because I have my father's side is from Liberia, West Africa.
Okay.
And he was a native. He wasn't an African American. He wasn't a return, right? He was a native.
So he was there before the government put the rest of the Afro Americans there.
Yes, before it was called Liberia. For example, just to touch on this real quick, countries like Nigeria and Cameroon, and countries like Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire, there were tribal overlaps, right? Once the Europeans came and did colonization, one side spoke French and the other side spoke English, right?
Right.
So it's like they have the same tribe. They have people from our father's tribe that are in Cote d'Ivoire, but they can speak the same tribal languages, albeit with an accent, right? Because they're from different regions.
Right.
But they speak different European languages, just like Nigeria and Cameroon. Like there are some overlaps, right?
Right.
So not all, just like with this whole woman king thing, right? Like this whole woman king thing was how they were able to promote a movie based on Black female empowerment. In all reality, it was a movie about how they helped the slave trade along.
Right.
How those Amazons they were skilled in wars. So I think, and when I say this with all due respect. I don't think Africa was one big happy kumbaya. I used to watch Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was a mass murderer.
Yeah.
I think the nature of man is tribal. I think the nature of man is hierarchical. And warlike in many cases. And I think that when you're dealing in the United States, we're divided mostly by color, Whereas when you're dealing in sub-Saharan Africa, you're dealt your differences by tribes, languages, your gods, and stuff like that. You feel what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
So I can't make a one-to-one, but my point about the guy being an alpha, it wasn't really that he was an alpha um that he could like handle he could handle everything. Um
Handle yourself.
he's got a sex appeal, a sex drive.
Right. 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 Right.
Right,
Right.
right. So my point is that the woman's challenge is balancing their sexual drive against their drive to to be provided for, because an older, more mature man is more likely to provide and take care of her, but he might not be able to beat it up like that every night, right? Whereas a dude that could beat it up like that might not want to, and you'll see it in the book. Men that are more willing to do that are less likely to raise a family. They're
Mm.
likely to leave
Now,
the
let me
genetic
say,
material, but not leave the financial materials.
right. I would, I agree that that's the state we're in right now. But what I am also saying is that we are in this state um, for one reason in particular. And that particular reason is this, that here in the US, that makes this different because living in Brazil, living in Colombia, having experience with the Filipinas, all my military career, the Filipinas, understanding the Germans, Deutschland, right? The
Mm-hmm.
women in
Mm-hmm.
Deutschland. The women in the United States are vastly different from what they consider, as you say, alpha than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And the primary distinction between the women in the United States and the women everywhere else is their image seems to be more guided by the Hollywood sense of things, all right,
Mm-hmm.
um, more so than reality or their feeling. In other words, they've conditioned themselves to be attracted to the worst possible mate, whereas everybody else is conditioned and been raised to be attracted to, like in the Philippines, they really are attracted to that dad bod kind of man because that thing says, um, I mean, that thing says young dad, but that thing says we gonna eat. You know what I mean? And they find that attractive.
Yeah.
That's you
But
ever
when they get
hear?
older, they be attracted to the younger. I'm gonna bang you out by. You know what I mean? It's a yin. It's a
Well,
yin and a yang. It's a yin and a yang. Once they've got their needs met, then they looking to meet some other needs.
right. But here's the thing, though. You will find that, but for the most part, in the Philippines, I say in the Filipinas are loyal in the Philippines. The Colombians are loyal everywhere for the most part. You got your people that rise beyond the standard deviation, but for the most part. So basically, the point that I was making is what women are attractive, what makes them hot is different. And in the United States,
Now, B, you just fell off after I said you said what is different in the United States than it went out.
huh?
You went out
Okay,
after it said in the United States.
in the United States, it seems to be more about the image of, because even when you look at it, even when women are pretending to be men, they'll pretend to be the worst one. Even when women say
Mm-hmm,
they
mm-hmm.
want a 6 foot, 6 pack, 6 figure income, when you look at who they're having a baby by, it's some thug thizzle who's smaller than her. A lot of the dudes are overweight, can't run from the police. That's making most of these children, right? They have one thing in common, that they're trapped within the system, that they're a phone call away if they don't. do what they want, do
And Nabi, hold on, real quick.
illusion.
Hold on, real
Like,
quick. Hold on, real quick.
well, let me just while he's doing that, that was the point that I was trying to make. That it's the parallel that I saw in the group homes I was raised in, um, and if we really look while he's out, if we really look at things, right? These were some of the things I started to notice. It is more so the alpha male is the one they can control. All right. They can control him, but he gives them the approval of friends. All right. And so that's basically it's like, okay, I can control him.
Okay, I'm back. Bio break.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I had well, I
Okay.
could get in.
Yeah.
I just
So
go ahead.
Nabi, I agree with you, but I think that it's very I think it's very multi-dimensional, right? I think it
Right.
depends
That
on
is
the age. I think age, income, and location. I think they all play a factor. You know what I mean? Like you've been to the Philippines, right?
no, I just work with a bunch of Filipino women.
Okay, because I
And
used to be with one.
yeah, I used to be with one too in
And-
Germany. Ironically, in Germany,
right.
my first girlfriend was a Filipina.
Right. And in the Philippines, and from my understanding of the Filipino culture, it varies in the regions, right? Like they have a general culture where they've been Catholicized,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Americanized, and stuff like that, right? But then like so where my ex was from, she was from Negros, Oriental,
Okay,
which is like it's like north of Mindanao is like the Muslim part. It's like the very far south, right? You got Luzon
right,
where the capital is at, right? The
right.
people in Luzon call her people Waray. Like they're considered they're Visayas. They're considered hot blooded tempered people, right?
Ah,
You get so like and then if you're in the countryside, there's one culture. If you're in the city, there's another culture, right?
right.
And so I think that while there are different races and different general, I think people tend to be more like where they live on the planet. I think they, I think that
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? I feel like, because like, for
uh,
example, you can see similarities between the Amazons and the Papua New Guinea lifestyles, right? Um,
right, right.
right, or the Caribs or something like that. Like their lifestyles are similar, even though they're thousands and thousands of miles away. And I think that is because the sun and the planet and the ecosystem plays a big deal. Like BGS Idmore said, climate affects culture. So you'll go to,
Yes, it does.
you know what I'm saying. So I feel like people, like if you're in the people that are in the city that live a city life are going to be more in common with people of different races that live in a city than they are with
Yes,
people of the same race that live in a different part of the world.
right. I agree. In geology is geology and in geology and I was getting ready to say geometry. Geology, hold up. Geology and geography. There we go. In geology and geography, especially when we were looking at tectonic plates and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all right, deciduous forest and all the
Mm-hmm.
rest of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Locked up. Hold up. Let me see.
Yep.
He said, and as Alifa, Andrew Tate, they have the right. And so basically, when we look at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is a factor. That is a factor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that that the terrain, like if you live in the area of deciduous forest and stuff, that's the thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so one of the things is though, and then I wanted to talk about this,
Mhm.
is that the problem when we're talking about this, and the reason why I say this is different, because in the Western culture,
Mhm.
where where social media is the guiding force behind everything,
Mhm.
um, the one of the things that you were getting to is this thing right here, that
Mhm.
we have allowed. One of the things is, if we can't define ourselves, then we become what other people define us to be.
Yes, yes. And Nabi, I want to add to that real quick because
Go ahead.
I had made a point one time a long time ago when I was dealing with Sergeant Willie Pete, and this had to been back in like maybe 10 years ago. And
Uh-huh.
I was saying it was either him or somebody I was dealing with. They were talking about a black ethno state, and I said to him, "You're going to have to define what blackness is
There
before
it is.
you can even think about, oh, I want to build and I want a nation. You have to define who is going to belong to this nation, and do they have the incentive to participate in this nation? Because I see like, you know, like there's obsidian, you know, obsidian, right?
Right.
He said that after the civil rights movement, black American men and women had no incentive to try to get along, because in the past they got along because of Jim Crow and segregation and things like that, and that was a driving force to unite them, right? But after that period of time was over, when people started integrating and things like that, there was nothing there was no outside fear like there was before to keep them locked in together, and now everybody started making moves based on their economics.
Right. So basically, when we talk about Greenwich Street, what people don't know, that after the Caucasians destroyed them people from the air, bombed that place and
Mm,
stuff, in 5 years, they rebuilt it. And
mm,
the thing that really just took it away, that really settled it, is integration. Like a
mm,
lot of other Afro businesses, when integration came in, a lot
mhm,
of people sold their businesses and then got moved out of their own, and business stopped, neighborhoods stopped, and a lot of the other stuff. And so, yeah, there was no cohesion left, and the only people that had cohesion was the women when they joined the feminist movement. All right,
But
and
Habib, but before we, but wait, I want to put a pin in that part, because there was something else that was going on along with the integration, that people stopped doing those traditional jobs. Remember, people started. Remember, did you ever hear back in the day someone was like, "Yeah, if you don't go to school and get an education, you can end up digging a ditch." You ever heard that
there,
before?
there it is. Oh, I
Right,
go know where you're
right.
going. I know where
Right,
you're going. Go
right.
ahead.
The question is not whether or not you're digging a ditch. The question is, why are you digging, right?
Digging the ditch.
Right. If you're digging a ditch because you are a real
Hold on.
estate
Let me
developer,
hold on.
or you
Stop.
something
Stop.
like
Stop.
that.
Real quick. Stop real quick. I'm gonna just say this: football players, basketball players. Now, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. So my whole point is that a lot of these traditional jobs stop for both blacks and whites when
Mm-hmm.
they were when there was shifts in trade and technology. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was a shift, and there's more industrialism going on, and
Right.
people found it more lucrative to work in the age of
Right.
the industry, and in manufacturing and production. So there was two things, right? There was a push out of the South, right, for the lynchings
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, but then there was a pull to industrial cities in the North.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Now,
mean,
let me
I don't think that race was the only factor. You know what I mean?
hold on, let me add to something else, because this is where I thought you were going to go. The other thing that happened is, and I kind of watched this over my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that happened is that there was a push to education. But when they start talking about education, it was college, 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 college.
Yep.
All right. And so this was the other push. Education equals college, not education
Yes.
equals trade school.
Right.
Well,
Yep.
not education equals college. College ended up equaling extortion.
Right.
And
And to add to that real quick, I just want to put that in. Booker T versus Dubois.
oh yeah,
Case in point.
yep.
Booker T versus Dubois.
Case in
Yep. Keep
point.
going. Yep.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
uh-huh. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hey, I want you to talk about that real quick because I'm gonna talk about this. It's so bad that remember, I have this saying. I said, don't let the money be the goal. Let the money be the tool that you use to reach your goal. The money should never be your goal. Money is the tool, not the goal. Why are you stacking paper? Because I'm stacking paper, man. Stacking them papers. You know what I mean? But why? Stacking papers, right? I had a goal when I joined the Army, right? And it wasn't to make money, all right? But money was a factor, a tool that I wanted to use, right? But I had a specific goal, right? And so the reason why I bring this up, and I want you to get into W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T argument real quick after I say this, and this little caveat. Have y'all ever noticed that in the football players made millions of dollars? They're going to go on a show, right? They're going to go on the show, make millions more dollars, but they go back to school to get a degree that they don't need, right? Why don't they need it? Because they got a job making millions of dollars after football.
David Robinson. David Robinson. Wait, no. Was it David Robinson? Not David. Was it? No, I'm sorry. Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins used to brag about that with his little Reebok pump shoe. Remember? He used to brag about. Yeah, you still need to get an education, right? Like, yeah, he used to brag about that. Yeah.
Right. And so, why is that implanted if the education is to get you a job, but you got the job earning more money than people with the education, but you feel that you need to go back to your alma mater or some school you played high school basketball, college basketball with, and then was drafted in the first. You know what I mean? You played a year, got drafted into the NBA and NFL, but you made millions of dollars. You got this job at ESPN, and now you want to go back and get a degree for what?
Yeah, well, now I want to answer that question for you.
Go ahead.
There was no circular economy. You see, the reason why, first of all, this is gonna lead into the whole conversation about tradesmanship and Booker T. Washington, and that is when you have people like when you have Latinos, Asians, and Jews, like wide sweeping, like generally speaking, they have enough people in their ethnic group that specialize in different trades that they can keep their dollar within the same community, right? The Black American didn't have that. They had it before, but they didn't have. But they had tradespeople. Now, almost every immigrant group that comes to the United States usually comes in as a tradesperson of some sort, and then so I don't think so. Here's the thing: I don't think that there's anything wrong with having trades. As a matter of fact, we saw that when the real estate boom was happening, when you need your HVAC fixed, right? Who'd you call? A tradesperson. When your plumbing got stopped up, who'd you call? A tradesperson, right? Right. So tradespeople are definitely valued. It's just that they tried to make it look like not glamorous, and so people start saying, nah, man, I want a job in the office. Eventually everything leads you further and further away from nature and more higher into producing ideas. Like what we're doing right now is we're producing ideas and thought concepts.
Right.
right? But eventually we have to, and when it gets down to it, it's about food and shelter and shelter from the elements and mating and procreating and things like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's why I think that they went for the degree, because I'm a big dumb sports person, and they probably thought that they didn't have anybody they could trust, and if they did, the person would try to pull one over on you.
Right.
Granted, that might happen, but the point is that it's much more expensive to not have a team than it is to try to go it on your own and do it by yourself.
Uh-huh. Well, see that, and that's supposed to be the foundation of community and togetherness and stuff like
Yes,
that. But see, that's
but
the
we have a brain
foundation.
drain.
That, yeah, that was the very thing that we lost when we came into the separation. And then this is where I say that the feminist movement came in, that redefined one what a black man is supposed to be. All right. We got redefined again from being black men, Negroes, to African Americans, and for politics, for to promote women in the lead as the lead of the home with the welfare policies and this, that, and the other, and then to decimate us with the abortion thing that started in '73, which did the most damage to the community than anything, because people don't understand that not only did were 24 million to above 60 million when you count all the states. So when we say the 24 million of Afro people, children were unalive through abortion, we're not counting the states of New York, California, New Hampshire, Maryland, and there's a few other ones, right? But the impact of that,
What time period are we talking about here, Nabi?
we're talking from 1973 to the current day.
Okay. Um.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me
Yeah.
say this. Let me finish up with this. All right, so the impact of that is not that we lost 24 million Afro people to greater than 60 million when you count all the states, right? But the other thing is you lost 60% of them that were males, but that's not even a big deal. What the other thing that you lose is you stay at 12%, which means you lost political power. You lost the power that numbers give you. You lost the threat that, oh, we might have to worry about this group, and we might need to placate them a little bit, right? We don't have enough to say, or we don't have the political strategy like the Chinese did, to say, well, we're going to start greasing certain hands, or we're going to target certain senators at the state level, at the community level, and stuff like that. We the political savvy wasn't there, because everybody that says we have a political idea was using it for themselves, and our numbers are not a threat anymore behind that.
But
No,
Nabi, I want to stay on this with you for a minute,
okay, go ahead.
because I don't think that having the numbers means anything unless you have political economics behind it.
Well, that's
And
true too.
right,
Hold up.
because the
Let me
Latinos
hold up.
have. Mhm.
Let me say this, but you need both. You need the numbers and political economics. But go ahead.
Well, there's a few things. Okay, and listen, you might know more about this than me. So I don't know much about the electoral college. I think you know more about it than I do.
Mhm.
But this is what I gather. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Correct me, okay? First,
Okay.
in my opinion, is that the reason why Latinos are such a powerful voting bloc are because not only do they have, well, they're just over us now. They're just over about 15 to 17%. And
Mhm.
we're like in the 12 to 14% range, but they have diversity of thought. Texas
Right.
Latinos tend to be conservative. California Latinos tend to be liberal. And so the different parties have to incentivize these groups in order to
Right.
get the vote, right? Whereas blacks vote Democrat like over 90 something percent of the time, right? Like as a matter of about like 94% of the time, right?
Right.
So even if you have a lot of numbers, if everybody's overwhelmingly voting for the same candidate and there's no diversity of thought, then the numbers don't benefit you if you're just going to vote anyway. Remember how when Obama sent Biden, when Obama was in office and he sent Biden to go to the National Black Caucus meeting instead of him going?
Yeah.
Because he was like, I
Right.
got them. I got them.
Yeah. Why
Right?
worry? But
So
here's the thing.
so and one last thing, Nabi, about the Chinese greasing palms. The Chinese generations that were immigrants usually voted conservatively. The greasing palms usually happens outside of the US, in Southeast Asia, where they were racially discriminated against and they had to grease palms in order to get things done. And they were also corrupt too. But I don't think the Chinese greasing palms, I don't think they're very much of a threat, like as far as a economic, political. I mean, excuse me, not economic. They're a political, a political voting bloc.
Okay, when I say greasing palms, I mean they didn't need a political voting block. All right. So, and this is what I mean by this, right? And so when I was, so I used to have a kung fu school, right? And I was learning Chinese. I had a teacher. His name was Xi Jinghao. He's in Houston, right? And I used to be able to read the signs, but I was so fascinated that in Houston, when you get around this and that, the whole thing is the signs were either in pinyin or character, right? And then the thing is that I noticed that with every Chinese town, and I was like, so how did they do that to get all in these neighborhoods that all their signs were in characters and pinyin, right? Pinyin is the English phonetic
It's the romanization. Yeah.
English phonetic.
Pinyin is a romanization, right?
Right. It's the English. Well, I'm saying this for the crowd. English. It's the English phonetic spelling of the character that you're seeing. Okay. So you'll be able to look at it and say the character in English. But anyway, and so with that, right? What I mean by grease and problem, I wasn't talking about illegal stuff. I'm talking about they knew how to go to the city. They the city, the county, to get stuff done. They didn't need a senator. They didn't need a senator. They didn't need a Chinese representative in Congress. They didn't need none of that to do what they did. They did that through the area they decided to live in, and they hired each other, and they worked together to have that done.
Now, Nabi, can I ask you a quick question though? Can I ask you a quick question? What time period was this in? I'm always going to ask you that. What you said in Houston, but like when was that? Did you notice that?
Oh, I noticed that when I was stationed there.
Like in what, in the 90s or in the 2000s or?
No. Like let's say 96 and
2000. Okay. In that period of time, and the reason why I'm saying this is because right now San Francisco is in a disarray, and San Francisco has the largest Chinese population. San Francisco is the only city in the United States, and I did a couple of videos about this on my other channel. It's the only city in the United States where Asians outnumber blacks. But yet they can't get anything done with regards to the violence. The question is, why is that? And I think the answer is, and you can answer it too, but I think that the generation that you're talking about here, in the 90s, there was a large influx of immigration from places like Fujian and Zhejiang. And that was a second wave of, the first wave was from Guangdong, which is like the Cantonese speaking Chinese.
Right.
Then the Mandarin speaking Chinese came later to the United States in the 90s. Okay. So so for them, their languages are mutually unintelligible, but they can read the same characters, right? Generally speaking. right? But the ones that you saw was likely to be them in they were also
They're
Viet
Vietnam.
Hoa. There was also Viet Hoa, which were like Chinese Vietnamese people, right? So
Mhm.
all of those people, they came in a
Bro,
generation where they were immigrants and their children were the sons and daughters of immigrants. But the next generation, the women usually marry white guys.
uh-huh.
So they didn't have the same. That's why I think San Francisco doesn't have the same cohesion like
As
as it had in
Houston.
the past.
Well, here's the thing. So in Houston, all right, that cohesion is still the same. It always was. But Houston is also a leader, kind of it- like my teacher was a Shaolin monk. Is a Shaolin monk.
Right.
He was having knee problems too. But anyway, I was like, I bet you were. I seen y'all's workout. But anyway, and so I was like, damn. But anyway, and I used to when I was stationed there, I used to take money because they used to donate to St. Jude a lot, right?
hmm
And so my and I brought one of my students to him,
hmm
and so some of my students met him,
hmm
and in these centers now, he was from mainland China, and so
hmm
you had the mix, right? But Houston, and in this, there is not the violence and stuff like that in the Chinatown, in Houston, that exists. Like it's like different from San Francisco, and I think, and this
Right.
is
But
something I found out.
they
This is
recently
something
had
I
one. They recently had one. That lady that got body slammed. Um,
uh
that
that's in the
Vietnamese lady
North.
that got body slammed, but it's not as ubiquitous, but it happened just recently.
Right. Is that what I'm saying is it's not the problem that they have in San Francisco, because that makes the news because it's unusual. All right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's an unusual, it'll make it's unusual enough to make the daily the morning news or evening news and stuff like that, right?
hmm
Um,
hmm
but it's not gonna make national news. You
I
see
think it
what I
made
mean?
this latest one made national news.
Um, Well, yeah, probably because of the situation we're in now. But I'm saying the community in Houston does the Chinese community in Houston do not regularly make national news, say like the black community in Chicago. If you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. hmm
And so I would compare the black community in Chicago to the Chinese community in San Fran, right? And I think
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
another reason. I think there's another reason for that too, is that to fly to East Asia or Asia, guess where you got to fly into? You fly into your connection flight is going to be in San Francisco. It seems to be the main hub to fly into.
Yeah.
Um, Back and forth. That's the hub that you would go uh, to fly back and forth from there. So people get there and they stay there. Whereas the ones coming to Houston, all right, well, that's going to be a different breed that's coming all the way to Houston.
hmm
That
You know,
might be,
Houston's a big Vietnamese population.
uh-huh. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they got a lot of Vietnamese here too. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they live in another part of town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they live in another part of town in Houston, and so there's a lot of Africans, like Kenyans, of course Nigerians and stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
they're split up along the southwest side of Houston too. So the
Mm-hmm.
Vietnamese are on a different side of Houston, but on the
Mm-hmm.
southwest side, you got the Chinese and the African continent. On that side, you got the Vietnamese, but not so much in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so so you have that, right? And
Right.
so um, what happens is that we don't have that because our community, and here's the other difference. Even when it's violent, our community is now have been given over to because the men,
Well, what did you
the
just say? What did you
perverted,
just say? You just went out. You said our community is now having to do what?
have been given over to the single mom. The powers that
Oh yeah,
be
yes, yes, yes,
wanted.
yes, yes.
Okay, and so, and this is the thing. So when we talk about the 54% that don't have children, all right, we're talking about the younger to mid-age ones, right? Not the
Right,
older
right,
one,
right.
but they are more numerous than the older ones who's been dying
Yes,
out, whatever. And that's what people don't understand. They say,
it's the
oh, well, if you
generation.
take, and well, here's the thing. They say, well, if you take the older men and stuff, 70% of the older men, yeah, they're older, but the ones you got to worry about is the ones that don't want to have children with these women. And here's the other thing, but the women are still having children because 70% of them have children, but 59% have multiple children from multiple babies' daddies. But who's the baby daddy? 61 to 71% of them, the baby daddies, are dudes
Yeah.
that just come out of prison. That's who's making all the babies
Yeah.
in
Now,
the
to your
African.
point. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
oh,
I
go.
agree. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
if they're making the babies and they're not going to be available, all right, then the Gov effectively and the BW have effectively turned the whole damn community, because the community consists of children and who's raising them. The whole damn community has been turned over to the ABW because
Mhm.
the 54% of the dudes, they're not responsible for another man's seed. And the other dudes, well, they done got their house and stuff and they're checking out. And then the ones that retire and stuff because the children grew up and stuff, they're leaving. You see what I mean? And so,
Yeah,
and
yeah. A
so
brain.
that's
They're
what
getting a brain drain
there's it. There it is. There it is.
because
It's a
they're
brain
beating
drain.
up and chasing off all the black men that are going to be industrious. And they don't. And
Exactly.
they're beat. The dudes are beating them up, and then the women are not selecting them. So they're like, "Fuck it, let me just go somewhere where I'm wanted," and they leave.
And they don't want to raise another a thug's child, that woman. And so now we get back to the image now. The women wanted them because that's what TV told them to get. That's why they seem like in the, they see them in rap videos and stuff, and they want somebody with no consciousness that'll pop somebody in a minute. Well, what does that give them? That gives them somebody that because of their coochie that they can go, oh, he did this, that, and the other thing. And so this dude think a man is somebody that go bust a cap on somebody because some
Yep,
woman said, right? And
all
so
for a
that's what
nut.
and so these women know that that's not masculine, but that's manipulative, right? And
Yes.
this goes back to my point. They consider it, they don't consider it alpha. They just say they consider it alpha because these are the guys that are the easiest for them to manipulate. If they tell them go, let's say order, because they're general. If they order these dudes to go pop somebody, they'll do it. They order these dudes to go beat somebody up, they'll do it. Sotomayor's used to say they'll have one dude in jail, the other dude in hell, right? And that's what you get. Right? And so when we're looking at your book here, all right, and I got the page up, right? And so y'all see
Mhm.
the price of it on Amazon, right? And I'm using you said
And
Cat
I
Williams, right?
appreciate you for that. Thank you.
I got three of them that I wanted to get into. I don't buy shiny things because I like shiny things. I buy shiny things because BI like shiny things. And that's where it is. That's where it is. When dudes, we got dudes that are so controlled by getting they earn the money to get coochie, and then they buy all the shining things and stuff, and they buy it because they like them. They buy them because the females like them.
Yes. Mating. Mate
And
selections.
and then you said this, not everybody has that gritty. So we're talking now about the 5 different groups that you said that we now boiled down into 4. But
Mhm.
I would go to your 5 different groups, because this is why I called you back and I said, we need to talk about this, because this makes sense, right? The gritty street image dude, right? You was talking about the dude that they consider a nerd but no street smart. But then when you really look at it, even the nerds came up in the streets. All right.
Yes.
Most of us came from the single mother home.
And we had
Some
and
of
we
us,
had we it was within reach. It was within reach. If it wasn't right with
right.
there, it was within a like 1 or 2 degrees of separation.
Right. And so the nerds aren't really the nerdy nerds. It's just that we saw the
Yes.
folly of the ways of the gritty street person that would go pop a cap in somebody because some woman told them to. And we said we don't want no woman to have that much control over us. So we would rather get into comments, get into anything that separated us from that kind of mentality. You say a
Yes.
lot of classic men, and so this is what we used to be too. A lot of classic men realized the cost of playing the trap game, realized the cost of playing the trap game outweighs the long-term benefits. And this is me right here. Without giving into a deride about
A
black
diatribe.
community
Yeah.
diatribe. Yeah, I can't see that. Um, it's like it's ills and whether it exists. I want to revert to the behaviors of the classic men. And this is kind of how I grew up. I grew up where men said, join the army, it'll make a man out of you, right? But I had a single
Yeah.
mom. I wanted to be a man, and they said, you want to be a man, join the army and make a man out of you. 3 meals a day. That's what they used to tell me, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
The army wasn't what I thought it was. I thought I was going to be running around in the woods for a whole 2 years, right? No, I didn't know I was going to be running a laboratory. I didn't think they did that. The army is a the army is a city. When we drop the army, and we can drop the army on you from the air, we're dropping a city on hospitals, stores, food, this, that, and the other, right? And so
Right.
and we literally will drop a hospital on you. We call them DEP meds, deployable medical facility. All right. And
Hmm.
so with this, um, I wasn't going to let when, and it took me a while to get where I am, because I had to find out also too, when we talk about the classic men, we were all spiritually conservative, right? And what I
Yeah.
mean by spiritually conservative is we always believed that you took care of the poor, but
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
always believed you stuck to nature. So we weren't like Candace Owen conservative. We were conservative, yeah. Wife, children, raise them to be intelligent, but you take care of poor. It's because some of the times they're poor
Yeah.
and it's not their fault. And we understood that being who we were. That's why we
Yes.
make the that's why Afro men make the best husbands statistically, according to all these metrics that they're doing, right? And so, because we see that, right? But we see strong enough that we had some spiritual angst about us, and we didn't need a church to tell us what to do, right?
Right.
And so, therein lies the classic man. A man that understands right and wrong without needing laws to tell him what's right and wrong.
Yes.
And that's what I think, that's the thing that I think everyone is missing. Um, and then you go, 60% black voter voted for Trump, saying that 66% of black voters voted for Trump that were black men, and assume that the black men have more traditional conservative, right? And so, and this is true, right? This is true. There was a
So basically,
video.
Nabi, what I said there. So Nabi, I'm gonna interrupt. I just want to say, What I meant was in the 2016 election, that 8% of the voters who identified as black voted for Donald Trump, but twice as many black men than black women approved of Trump. So that when you extrapolate that onto the 8%, then that means 66% of the black voters who voted for Trump were men.
Right. Uh-huh. So okay, but the thing that I was going to say is this, right? There was a video I put up. I put this up, and this woman on TikTok was telling her daughter that if she's ever lost, find a literally find a black man. That's the safest place for you. If you're ever lost, find a black man. And this is true. This is true. Afro men care about children to the point that even thugs will see a lost child. There's a video I put up last year where this woman went and put her baby in the snow in the middle of the street, and men stopped, picked this baby up, and they called the authorities. And then she came running. Oh, the baby said the baby couldn't. The baby was a newborn, barely could lift his foot up, head up on his belly, right? And I was like, this is some effed up mess, right? But at the end of the day, everybody knows that Afro men are primarily protective of children. Afro men that are masculine men that's not on the rainbow side of things are protective of children. The only men that aren't are the rainbow men, but the Afro men that is on this side.
I'm not, and Nabi, I didn't interrupt. I'm not sure if that, I'm not sure if they're sweet, if that doesn't mean that they wouldn't be protective of children. You know what I mean?
Well,
I think that there's some things that for men in general, whether you be on this side or that side, I think for men in general, men who are men don't like to see the weak be taken advantage of.
Right. But then again, the reason why I say that, because I don't know what to say about men who want to be women.
Oh, I thought you were talking about I thought you were talking about gay men. You know what I mean? Right. But anyways, whatever. Yeah.
Well, so that's the one the ones I'm talking about is the ones that want to be women, and then the ones that now you got some of them standing up against what's going on, right? Even got some trans standing up against what they're doing in these schools. So you got some of them standing against where there's like, no, we're adults, and this is supposed to be adult stuff. No adult should be doing stuff in front of you, and you got them speaking against it, right? But the people that are actually pushing that agenda are also them. You see what I'm saying? And so
yeah, there's also liberal and conservative. There's also liberal and conservative transes too.
Now, the reason why I don't go there, because I don't know if that would be the anomaly or the rule. I know that the rule is on the straight case that Afro men generally, and they know what's been going on with the Caucasian factor when it comes to children. And so this woman, and they know the numbers. These Caucasian women know the numbers. So that's why she said that, right? And so the other thing is that when we deal with this, right? The B-dubs don't look like this in general anymore. They used to look like this in general, but no, these are the anomalies right now. These are the women that make it into the magazines. Now, the woman in the black, understand this, the woman in the black, she might be real, all right? We don't know about the one in the red.
Yeah.
Right? You can see the legs, right? Now, with that said,
damn, you just shocked me with this. I'm sorry, I can't get over it. I can't get over that. You're like, we were talking, I was like, bam.
Okay. The reason why I put this here on purpose is we got to learn to ignore this. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
I ignore it.
Mm,
I ignore
mm,
it because just because it look good, we now know that statistically this is not
mm.
good for you in the United States. If you see this
Mhm,
outside of the United States, you see it in Colombia, you
mm,
see it here in the
mm,
DR, you see it in
mm,
Brazil. You're likely to see this in Brazil, right?
mhm,
But if you
mm.
see this outside of the United States, right, then okay. But we have to learn that we have to learn that we shouldn't put up with this anymore,
Yes,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And
Got you,
so
got
this is the Achilles heel for a lot of men, but not for me.
you.
All right, I've traveled enough. I've seen this. I've been with women that look like this, and at
Mm.
the end of the day, what started to be more important to me was the content and the character of the woman. And
Mhm,
so I
mhm.
could look past that. I could look past that.
But you're also a more
Um,
mature man though too, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, probably when you were like 20, you know what I'm saying? You're like,
No,
"Yo."
I've always people. I've always been like this. I've
Mhm.
always been like,
Got you. Mhm,
right. This
mhm.
is why I don't. This is why I haven't ended up in more serious trouble because
Right,
I've
right.
always been like this, right?
True.
And
Facts, facts.
I would look at that. I'd be like, oh, that looks nice.
Mm.
I wonder how she acts. This was
Mhm,
me. That looks nice. I
mm.
wonder how she acts. But I've always been. Here's the thing. I've always been a spiritual person, and I've seen enough women like that f a family up that it sensitized me to the look because I know what
Right.
comes
No, I
with it.
got you. Yeah. I got you.
I remember I came up in the system, and then I
Right,
took
right.
in children from the system, and they was in the system in Georgia, so I saw a lot of looks like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But at the end of the
Eh,
day, I was like, go ahead.
no, no, I just want to let you know I got to get ready to bounce pretty soon in the next 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, let's
Um,
cover these the last two. Let's see.
mhm,
We looked at one, two. I think this is the third one. Okay. Now, and this is one. I think I want you to take us home on this one. Hold on. Let me
mhm.
make sure. Uh, no, let's do this one real quick. Okay, since we was talking about it, Lake George Carlin. All right, and so this is what we get. I want to call this because we talked about the political thing, how we had women that fought for everything that destroys the Afro family, right?
Mhm,
Um, a culture of death, I call it, right?
mhm.
That if they, this is why I say they are adversaries. We can't survive this. We won't be able to survive this. But I want to do this right here. The error in comparing, there wrote in the paragraph before this, what a lot of these guys do, they like to compare, well, poor white men, trail trash is the same as the thugs. And I like what you pointed out here. That you said white um, um, white men lies and cultural value. Right? So, okay, the arrow in complaint comparing black men to white men lies in cultural values. Whites tend to look down on trailer park behaviors, while thuggish behavior is often celebrated by blacks. And did the blacks that celebrate thuggish behavior are the females, right? And because the
Mhm.
females celebrated, the thugs follow them. This is why I said that they're not the alpha. They will follow their behavior because it's the proverbial. I don't buy shiny things because I like them. I buy shiny things because she likes them. I don't. I know this thuggish lifestyle is not safe, but I'm doing this
Mhm.
because it gets me the women.
Right.
You see what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Mhm.
And so behaviors, while thuggish behavior is often celebrated by blacks, especially in the mainstream hip hop, whether the elevation of thug culture is the intention or direct creation of Black Americans themselves. All right, I want you to touch on that real quick before you go.
When
Because
I
that
said
statement
that, what,
right there.
so I mean, there's a lot of things I didn't go deep into the book because the book is a story about a classic man and a dating experience that he has
Uh-huh.
with a Vietnamese woman. So this is like the prologue to it and explaining his temperament. Um,
Right,
right? But for that part, the part is whether or not that thug culture was created by blacks or if it was a concoction by quote unquote the man. That's what I said in the book,
right.
right? Um,
Hmm.
you know what? It's to me, I think it's like this. It's like an avalanche, right? Like you get the ball rolling, and then all of a sudden it becomes a life of its own. You know,
Right.
right? So it could be that it inadvertently happened. It could be that a combination of things happened to create. For example, the predominant Black American culture is more closely. And I have videos about this. We could talk about this another time. Is more closely related to Highlands uh, Celtic culture from Scots
Uh-huh.
Irish that they interacted with in the South more than it is West African. The closest West African culture you're going to get in America is going to be in Savannah, Georgia, and parts of South Carolina, where the people are Gullah, or
Gullah
they call
people,
them Geechee, right? That is
because
a
they're a mix
surviving,
of
yeah,
that. They're a mix of that and the Black natives, which were a thing here. That
and
that
right,
that
right,
came
and
over here
right.
during the Canary Currents. Okay, go
Right.
ahead.
Right. Now I need to learn more about that. And maybe that's where you can school me. But in because I just the only thing I know, and when I talk to people about things that I know, I just assume that hey, this is the range of my knowledge. And based on what I know, these are the different opinions that I have, and these are the facts that I can confirm.
Uh-huh.
Right. I can't confirm whether or not the Anunnaki were here, right? Um, whether or not we're reptilians or we're in a hologram, or like, I mean, I'm sure that it could be a possibility, but I can't confirm that, and I'm not saying it is or not, but based on what I can see and what I know the middle passage, right? Now I'm not saying some people are middle passage deniers. Some people are
Uh-huh.
saying that blacks have always been here and the middle passage was a lie.
Both can be
So, some
true.
some people are saying that there are different tribes of blacks. Now I can agree with that because, like I said before, climate dictates your how you adapt to the earth. So if you're
Right.
dark on one side of the, like people who are from the Aborigines, the people in Australia and Papua New Guinea, they're genetically more closely related to Chinese than they are related to Africans when they took their
Hmm.
DNA. It's just that in that part of the world, if you take it, those people, they come from the island. They come from that Taiwan, actually, that area. That's where they originate from, and they
Hmm.
spread out all over the Pacific. But those people, the Southern Chinese, are mixed in with those people. That's why they call
Right.
them like there are dark people in Southern China. Um,
Right.
so climate over culture, of course, and then culture. So yes, can there be
Uh-huh.
different? Can there be different tribes
Well, let me
of
let me
blacks?
let me
Of
settle
course.
this real quick.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah, yeah,
settle this real quick. And
yeah, yeah.
and the archaeology dig discovered this. And while I was in, even when I just left Brazil, they tried to destroy this evidence, right? And it's something also you learn about in geology, right? Before the split and stuff like that. So the Africans been over here before. The African people from the continent were the first in the Americas for sure, according to archaeology, according to ships, tens of thousands of years before the Mongolians came down over the bridge. Now, not everybody,
Not in
but there were,
not in Gondwanaland though.
huh?
Not in Gondwanaland though.
No, I mean here in the U.S. and when in the
Right. No,
Americas.
what I meant by that was when you said the split, you were talking about the ice bridge. You weren't talking about the split between Africa and South America.
Yeah, no, I'm saying you can have the split between Africa and South America, and that
That's
would make
millions
sense.
of years. That was
That's
millions of
millions
years
of
now.
years. If you consider humans to be millions of years old, I'm just saying. All right. But what I am saying is that you have something over there. People like, how did they get there? And I did a TikTok video of the ships that were over here
Mm.
from Africa because Africans were ship-faring people. And
Mm-hmm,
so there's some currents in the Atlantic. They're called the Canary Currents, and all
mm-hmm,
you got to do is put a boat in there, and it brings you to this land easier than the Mongolians would have crossed the ice bridge. Before they crossed the ice bridge, there were already Afro people here. All
mm-hmm,
right, and so that is true, and the Middle Passage is true. So that's
mm-hmm.
why I said both could be true. This is
Yeah.
why the Middle Passage people found camaraderie here in escaping to places like Colombia, and especially in Brazil. When you look at the favelas and how they were developed in Brazil after a particular war, and why they
Mm-hmm.
are called favelas. All right, and so that's the thing. So
And
with
Nabi,
that,
can we do a part two of this, man? I really want to get back with you on these topics, man. I think I'd like to do a part two. What do you think?
yeah, we can.
Can we do that?
We can.
Because I'm gonna
Yeah.
meet up with my people right now, and I really appreciate you bringing me on and giving me some time on here.
Okay.
Can we
Well,
schedule a
yeah,
part two? Can I get at you?
yeah, yeah. We can
Okay.
schedule a part two. But in the meantime, I'm gonna continue with this because I
Okay.
agree with this page right here, where we're talking about you can never compare um, for the cultural reasons that the Afro people who've been following the feminist, the matriarchal thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's never been our way. That's a way that has been shoved down our throats after the 70s. And in order to get along instead of fight back, we bought into it. And only now that we are now seeing the destruction of buying into allowing these women to take charge like that and raise our children up in these things, a lot of men who gain some spirituality is like, no, we are out of order, we are out of balance,
Right on.
right?
Right on. All right,
And the
Nabi. Well,
Caucasian,
listen, I don't mean to cut you short, Nabi, but I'm about to roll out right now. So
okay, you can roll out. I'm gonna
but
continue talking to the brother.
okay, okay, great. Thank you for everything. Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right, and so and y'all see the price of his book and everything here. All right, and you see the name right here, Mel Angst, Volume 2, Smoking, and it's really easy to find on Amazon, right? But back to what he was saying is that in our culture, we used to look down on bad behavior like this. We used to look down on bad behavior like this, but we stopped doing it because we start following this because it looked good. Simple as that. We was like, oh, this looked good. So we start chasing after this. All right. Because it looked good. All right. And this has been the failing of Afro men. It's been the failing of this community, right? It looks good. So we follow it. Bada boom, bada bing. And we got to get beyond this as men. This is why our Caucasian men will look at this, they'll hit it, leave it alone. They won't wife it up, and they won't thirst after it. I've watched the dude come up here, had a different female up in here day after day, right? The bottom line is we got to get past all of this, right? We got to get past all of this where we are controlled by the looks of these females. All right. So basically, I'm about to chill out for a minute and shut this down. basically, this is where we're at, right? We got to understand that we got to start standing up as men, right? So, sorry about all the problems that we had with this live. Um, for some reason, when I use Chrome, it wreaks havoc with me trying to do these lives. So now that I've learned, I'm going to have to leave it alone. All right. So thank you all who stopped by right now. And don't forget to subscribe. And hopefully everybody click the thumbs up. Right. And then we'll come back with another live. And I'm going to do a lot more lives on this channel. All right. So with that said, y'all, I'm out. Peace, love, and soul. I will holler at y'all later. All right.